One of the most important things when you're on a ketogenic diet is to really understand how to read a label and to read labels on a regular basis, because if you're not, there's all sorts of hidden carbs that can creep into this. So I wanted to give you some basics on what you should look at on a label, the most important things. So you'll see this little thing on the back called nutritional facts. There's two things at the top. It says serving size and servings per container or per unit. So let's say, for example, you're buying chocolate. Of course, the only chocolate you should be buying would be the keto friendly, but let's say, for example, it's just a chocolate bar. And let's say the serving size is one of those little cubes, right? Those little tiny cubes. And there's 12 of those cubes in a whole bar. So this entire label, as far as the carbohydrates and the sugars and the proteins and the fats, are based on the serving size, not the servings for the entire container or the entire chocolate bar. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because if you're eating more than one serving size, which most people do, let's say you ate the whole chocolate bar, you have to multiply 12 times the number of sugars to really see how much sugar, or multiply it by the carbohydrates to see how much carbohydrate you're getting, and you're going to find out it's a massive amount, okay? So just pay attention to that. All right, so then you have the total carbs, which is very important, and then you have the fiber. You minus the fiber and you get the net carbs, okay? So why? Because even though fiber is a carbohydrate, it doesn't increase insulin. It doesn't get digested by you. It gets digested by your microbes in your gut, but it doesn't spike insulin. And then you get to sugars, right? We want to keep those as low as possible. So when I read a label, I'm focusing on carbs, fiber, and sugar. Now the next point is very important. When you do keto, you should have a net carb of between 20 and 50 grams of carbs. You shouldn't have more than 50 grams, right? But what's also very, very important is the type of carbs, the quality of carbohydrate. Because if you're getting your carbohydrates from pure sugar or high fructose corn syrup, or something that's high in the glycemic index, then that is going to make it a lot less keto friendly. And so we have the limit of carbs, and then we have the type of carbs. We want low glycemic carbohydrates. When you're doing dirty keto, for example, you're not really looking at the ingredients. So I don't recommend doing dirty keto. So even though that like a substance called maltodextrin might be in the ingredients, and they might say it's keto friendly because they're saying it's just small amounts. Yeah, but on a glycemic index, it's higher than glucose. It's like one of the highest glycemic substances, I wouldn't call it a food, ever. Okay, so it's very, very high. So it's going to create more problems with your blood sugar. Then we have other ones like dextrose, which is a synthetic sugar, which you want to avoid. And then we have other things that are, I consider, not very high on the quality list of healthy. Corn fiber, okay? Is it GMO? Does it have residues of glyphosate? How is it processed? Not excited about corn fiber. Tapioca, not excited about that one. And then some products, even keto-friendly breads, have wheat in there. Now, why would you put wheat in there? That's not keto-friendly. Or they might have gluten, which is the protein in the wheat, which a lot of people have allergies to and sensitivities to, or they're intolerant, as in gluten intolerance, okay? So it's a little bit different than an allergy, but it can rip up their stomach. So you don't want to use wheat or gluten in any products that you consume. And even some keto products have sugar in them, which is kind of crazy. So when it says keto friendly, read the ingredients, and you'll find that a lot of times it's not really keto friendly. It may fit within the certain carbohydrate amounts, but they're not the type of carbohydrates that you want to be putting in your body. Now, moving right along, when you get to the ingredients at the bottom part, usually the first ingredient is the majority of the product. And this is interesting when you buy multivitamins. If it has calcium carbonate as the first ingredient, then you know the majority of that product is calcium carbonate. and that's limestone, and it's like a rock. First of all, it's not very well digested in your body. You don't really absorb it too well. And they're basically selling you a bunch of vitamins as a paperweight because it's just basically a rock with some other synthetic vitamins and minerals, and they're making a tremendous profit, yet the quality is terrible. And so a lot of other products, their first ingredient is soy. And so then the other ingredients in addition to that soy are just small amounts. And I'm talking about salad dressings and mayonnaise. They're basically just soy oil products. Now, sometimes they'll say it's organic soy, but it's still soy. It's estrogenic. So I recommend you don't consume any soy. Sometimes they'll say your salad dressing is made with olive oil, right? And then you look at the back label and it says it has soy with the olive oil. So you want salad dressing just with olive oil without any soy. Another little thing they'll do is instead of putting MSG or monosodium glutamate, they'll put modified food starch. Okay, modified food starch is MSG. And then the other thing they might put is they might put a certain oil. They may even say olive oil and then in parentheses, or soy, canola, coconut, safflower, or cottonseed oil. So now they have an option to use whatever oil that they want. And so you probably could have guessed that they're going to use the cheapest one they can find. So just be aware of that. So I always read labels, and it's amazing how people are surprised after they buy the product and they're like, oh my gosh, now I got to shoot this out. So read labels always. Hey, before you leave, I just wanted to give you a little quick history on some of the books that I wrote. This was one of the first books. It's called Dr. Berg Body Shapes. It was my attempt at writing about body types. What was very interesting about this book is I actually did all the images myself. Don't ask me why. They look actually not quite as professional as some of the images that I have in the new book. But anyway, this is my first attempt right here called Dr. Berg's Body Shape Diets. And then I wrote a book more extensive called The 7 Principles of Fat Burning. I don't even have a copy anymore, actually, because it's outdated. The next book, I put about 1,000 hours into this one right here called The New Body Type Guide. Major updates on the body types. I put a lot of energy into this. It has professional images, graphics, all sorts of things. Now, the problem with this book is it doesn't really describe what this is really about. Body types are only a small portion of what's in this book. And that's why I changed the name to the Healthy Keto Plan, okay? If you happen to have this book, you don't really need this book because there's only very, very minor updates. But if you don't have this, you need to get this one right here. This book goes into every single detail that you would ever want to know about. It goes into the 7 principles of fat burning. It goes into hormones, the body types, the basic keto plan. It goes into intermittent fasting. I talk about the 10 fat burning triggers and blockers and fat burning strategies with a lot of details in every single chapter. I go into body issues that interfere with losing weight. There's very few people that just have a weight problem. They have a lot of body issues, whether it's sleeping problems, stress problems, inflammation, menopause. I cover that extensively in this book. Then I talk about how to get rid of stress, and I show you a technique. Then I get into exercising. And then I have a lot of really good recipes in this book as well. So this is a good reference guide. On my website, if you get this book, you get this one free. It's called Healthy Keto and Intermittent Fasting. This is the shortcut, quick guide to this book. And the reason I created this book is to have you, within 45 minutes, learn how to do keto, okay, in intermittent fasting, exactly what you need to do. Then you can fill in the blanks with this book right here. So right now I'm doing a special. If you get this book, you get this one totally free, or you can go to Amazon and get these individually. So I just want to clarify the difference between this book and this updated one right here. If you don't have this, you need to get this right here. That way you can get the exact correct information to do it healthily.